Welcome back to Captain of Industry. My name is Nilaus and I am back here with a showcase of the new blueprint function that has just been added to this wonderful game. Now, first a disclaimer in the sense that I don't intend to start up a new series of Captain of Industry, but I have my eyes on this game as always because I want to be on top of it, and just when there's more content available together with the blueprint, then that makes sense for us to start a new series. But at this point, it'll be a showcase. So let me know what you think about this showcase and what you want to see in a future episode of or future series of Captain of Industry. Now, let's start off. This is our tech lab just for now, because let's start by looking at the tech tree. If we look at it from the beginning, everything is completed in this series. The only thing that isn't available is the blueprint. So we'll start the blueprint. If you look at where it is located in the tech tree after the construction parts 2, and I think this is a very good location. You basically get it at the same tech level as you get belts, so you start building a little bit of things, just start and nothing more there, and as soon as you get the belts, then that's also when things get a little bit more complicated, and it would be nice to have some blueprints to help you out. So we'll let this research complete, and then we'll start working on next. And with the research being completed now, we will be able to take a look at the function itself. Blueprint complete. There we go. Nothing much to it. It doesn't give us anything additional, no tutorial added yet for it, so you'll have to make do with this tutorial instead. I have this space that I'm going to use for some test case. I'll be showing you a upgradable iron smelting plant and show you what you can and cannot do with the blueprints as you upgrade here. Then on top of that, I'll just first, by going through some of the basic stuff, we have a new button that's being added here, and it opens with F4. What you have here is that you can create some new folders, and basically you have folders and you have blueprints here. So if we look at this, we have a new folder here, and it has a blueprint in here that we can rename, test, because that, what else would you call it? There's a tree structure here. It is synchronized, but it's synchronized to a blueprint.data file. I would have loved this to be text files, but it is not. If we look at a particular blueprint like this, we get some extra options. We get the place blueprint, which is kind of what you'd want to have. We also have exported, so it exports as a string that you can then place somewhere else. You can also update the description. This is really nice, like, oh, remember to cut this off before stamping down this blueprint, that kind of thing, or created by Nilaus, for example, or you can delete it, obviously. And you can also add a version. It's actually very nice to have a version, so that it might be discontinued or something. There might be some structures that make them invalidated at some point. Then we can also just go here. We can say add a blueprint from the blueprint string. So the stuff we just copied out, we can get it in here. New blueprint added. It just copies the first part of it, so you can sort of recognize maybe, and then how big it is, and then it gets placed at this location. We can delete it, and it's gone. So what I have prepared is a 4-step process for iron smelting, starting with the very basic and then moving up the tech tree as we go here. This will be sort of a way for me to show what you can and cannot do with the blueprint function. And I think that's a plus. It'll also give you something that's actually genuinely useful. I think that's nice as well. So I want to start making it. Let's start making it somewhere where we know that we have a little bit of room. Let's get it. You know what? Actually, I'll just flip it the other way around, just for good measure. So we'll make it here. There we go. So it starts off, and this is one of the things that I found to be super valuable. If the planning mode is on, it stamps them down in plan mode. I think that's the right way to do it. So that's very nice. And then you can uncheck what you want to build. This is going to be how I will start making stuff like this. I'll be stamping down the whole blueprint, but I'll only enable it so that I kind of reserve the space available for it. But in this case, we are going to build all of it. When you start the game, you probably only want 2 smelters and then scaling up to 4 later on. But we want to Unity craft everything so we can see that it works. The things that are important to note is that it remembers recipes, it remembers inputs, outputs, all that stuff, and that works. So this is really neat. This is very basic. Probably at this point, probably at the point when you build this, you have already, you don't have the blueprint, so you kind of, have to make do with. Now, another thing though is when we then go on to the next part, because I keep pressing O for some reason. O for me is blueprint, and that don't get why. This is also very interesting. Like, why is this one? Look at this one, but not here. Because it didn't have the recipe. There we go. And let's see. So what is it we want? We want to press the blueprint, and then we take a look at the second blueprint. Now this second blueprint, we'll just rotate it. You can see that it can be placed on top, and it's a little bit flickery. Doesn't need to be, but it is. And you can see that there are some of green and some are red. If we just displace it like this, some are red, some are green. The stuff that's green, if I click now, it will be placed. And there's no warning, there's no nothing. It'll just be the green stuff that gets placed, the red stuff doesn't get placed. Which means that if I do this, I'm gonna have to one hell of a cleanup job, and that's not what I want. So make sure that if you stamp things out that's sort of merging into existing blueprint, then you can just do this. And if we do this, this is an important find. Oh, these ones, they always seem to get lost, don't they? They always seem to get stuck in here. Yeah, so now we have untangled the trucks that got stuck, and we can then also just build it. We're going to Unity build everything in this showcase here because, well, why not? And what you will see at this point is that all these are here. This one, probably a little incorrect here. It should be notifying when idle, and you can see that it flows in. The important thing is that if you set belts up to attach, then they will attach, even though I did not place the furnace, but I only placed the belt attaching to the furnace. So this is when we all just rejoice and go, huh, that's nice. Here's a factory game that has blueprints that actually snap to other blueprints with pipes and belts. That's so cool. Yeah, I like that. What a wise decision to make. No one named, no one mentioned on this. Yeah, so about that. So now we have a pretty good little build. This is going to be kind of our starter build. It's going to last a while, and when we want to upgrade it the next time, it'll be to add more scrap on top of it, or on this one. So in order for us to look at the scrap, we are going to go in here into smelting there. Now this one is, if we look at it, it's pretty much the same. If I can make sure that I place it correctly here, it's pretty much the same, except that there's a little bit of an attachment of an extra one that takes iron scrap in here, and then that merges in. Now that merges in. This is also to show you what cannot be done. Now, since this is a overlapping on this location, I can't just put it in here, so I'll have to manually remove these things. And that's also something that you can then see. So this blueprint that we're stamping down here actually includes, and this is really important to show, at least for me, it actually includes small belt segments. I'll just go from here into the splitter there. However, as I stamp down the blueprint, stamp it down, these do not get built. And the reason they do not get built is because the belt segment in the blueprint isn't a 1x1. It is actually the whole thing. So that's something I could have fixed, but I left it in so that I could show you that you can't take a longer segment and superimpose it on a shorter segment and then have the blueprint build the remaining part of the segment. That's just not how it works. So they got to be careful about this. If you design things as modular as I do it here, then you will be you will have issues, and you will have to make the blueprint with sort of these segments as small separate segments. I think that's important to notice or to illustrate, and we'll also use this opportunity to upgrade all of this to next year. There we go, because that should actually have been done before, but it's all good. Did we get it? Unity build? There we go. Right, so at this point we have a pretty decent build, and what we'd want to do sort of at the very end of the game, where you have the best possible smelting, then you have not Metal Caster 1, you have Metal Caster 2, and you have Blast Furnace 2. Blast Furnace 2 has a different recipe. So what are we going to do for this? If we look at the blueprint, then obviously it's not going to work, because I'm trying to stamp it down here, but it's Metal Caster 2 trying to superimpose on a Metal Caster 1. Not working. So in these kind of cases, you would have to do some manual editing first. Also, there's something about the belts over here that's going to be a little bit tricky. Also be mindful that the belts in this particular blueprint case will actually change a bit of a purpose. This one is currently copper, but it will not be. So I'm going to make some manual changes to these things in order to sort of illustrate. Why is it running so slowly? There we go. There we go. Did I mark it as deleted? Yes. All right. So what I'm doing here is I will need to make some changes to this part in order for us to get in. So the first things I want to do is obviously make... oh, that's not Unity. I want to press I for upgrade, but U is Unity and I is upgrade. I want to upgrade. That's how it is. So we'll upgrade these to metal casters too. I'd also like to upgrade these to metal casters too, but if I do, then I can't output. I can't output. So we'll just wait for this belt to be, or this one to be empty. Alright, so as it's empty, we do some small overhauls here. I'll take actually that one out. These are just things that will eventually need to be upgraded, that need to be removed. I will upgrade these to Mark II belts, because they are perfectly fine as that. And also upgrade all these to Mark III or Mark II blast furnace. And we'll do a little bit of Unity build on all of this to see if we get all of it done. Now we made the necessary upgrade, and because it's a new recipe, if I use the blueprint, it would remember the recipe, but since I just did an upgrade, I have to check the recipe again. And now we can finally, you could say, stamp down the last blueprint, and hopefully it works. You can see that now we should have all of these things working because it's superimposed on top of it. We have now limestone taking over the place of the iron ore, and the iron ore is now coming up to crushers. We are going to simply Unity build all of this. So that we get the whole thing working, and we can see that the whole thing is in effect. The only thing I want to do is make sure that this one also has some inputs. And here we are. We are now sending all of this out here, and you can see how it all just works. We have the iron ore flowing in here. If we had some scrap, we would get that in here, being prioritized and flowing into Mark II furnaces. And let's go like this: Mark II furnaces and into metal casters, and getting all of our iron production up and running pretty damn smoothly. And that's basically what you can do with a blueprint, because what you cannot do though is you cannot stamp this down. If you try to stamp a blueprint down that you don't have all the stuff researched, it'll just be like, can't do it. So you need to do it in steps and then do some manual upgrades in between. But if we look at this now, I've taken basically what you need to do over a 50-hour cycle and then turn it into sort of a few updates here and there. This, of course, you need to remember which ones to do, but hey, maybe that's something you can remember with your own blueprint, or maybe someone will make some master classes for how to do this in an efficient way. I want to definitely make some nice efficient blueprints that are easy to read, relatively compact, and easy to sort of set up. So that's what I've just been doing, a little case of this. If you want to grab any other blueprints or any other designs from my base, such as this awesome oil refinery, then I'm not going to be building a repository of blueprints at this stage. But any Patreon supporter can, of course, always just grab the latest save game, and then they have access to it and can just grab and get inspired by or whatever you want in time here, whether that's the cake factory or the nuclear power plant. It's all good. You can grab it as a supporter of the channel. So I hope this was useful in showcasing what the blueprint system can do, and also what it cannot do, and also sort of how to work around or work with the limitations of the game in order to sort of get a sense of how you can do upgradable blueprints here. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit the like button, and of course consider subscribing if you find it interesting, so you keep up with all the other cool content here on the channel. Until next time, take care, and as always, stay effective.